Love the idea of beating someone one-on-one. It's a pretty cool feeling. For me, there's really 5 ways you can stitch up any defender with ball in hand. In no particular order, the first thing you can do is beat them with your feet. Get them with a little cheeky step. Although stepping is very situational. It really relies on a defender being undercommitted or overcommitted to making the tackle. It's what can make a step look amazing. There's really 2 strategies to stepping though. One is you take a defender in one direction before cutting back the other way, or hit them with a little stutter, make them slow their feet down before taking off again. To do this though, it requires a lot of space either side of the defender, and that's why I say stepping is very situational. Why you see almost every professional rugby player stepping before contact, it's not to sit the defender on the ground, it's to get away from their shoulder. It's really simple. The further you can get away from a defender's shoulder, the more chance you have of beating the tackle because there'll be less power in it. I've got a whole video on stepping that talks about the approach, the step, the exit, and goes into a lot more detail, but hear these other 4 strategies first. Another simple but effective strategy is to bump the defender. Sometimes this is called dropping the shoulder, and it's really effective when a defender is low set and sitting on their heels, not moving at all. It's pretty classic to see a prop bumping an opposition back, but realistically, anyone can do it. Rennie Ranger, Nani Lamapi, 2 of the absolute best in this category. For an effective bump, you want to step into the defender and have all that weight transfer to the defender from your lead shoulder. Why I say the shoulder is the defender's expecting to make contact with the body or legs of the ball runner. By meeting them with your shoulder, the point of contact is not what they expected, and the force is pushing them down, taking away their power and balance. Sounds simple, but this gets stuffed up a lot, especially when the ball carrier is super excited. If you try to bump the defender into next week and you're committing 110% of your body weight bang onto that defender, you'll usually get yourself tackled. It's pretty easy for the tackler to cling on to dear life and use your momentum to take you to the ground. So when you're bumping, it's super important that the opposite leg to your lead shoulder is ready to follow up and power through and out of that tackle. I'd say that's more important than the bump itself. Remember, you're not trying to hurt the defender, you're trying to get past them, so stay balanced. Next, we've got the fend or the handoff. Look, it's dropped a lot in popularity over the last 10 years, especially with the tackler's body height getting increasingly lower. There's still room for it in the game. While it used to be a lot of palming to the defender's face, it's now mainly used to push a defender off balance and to also accelerate through the contact. You see really good ball runners at the moment, they're actually using this as like a speed booster as they're getting through contact. When they're moving slow and don't have much speed, a simple push can be that little gap and distance they needed to get away from a defender. The most common and effective way to fend somebody is pushing them on a downwards angle and taking away their balance. If you can stick a defender before they've lowered their body height, they'll be left clutching at straws. Forced to grab, yucky place to be as the defender. Moving on to the next one, look, I've saved my favourite for last, but just before we get to that, let's talk about a simple change of pace. When you have the ball in your hands, nothing says you need to be moving fast. In fact, plenty of line breaks we see has a defender moving slow into fast. They're messing with the tempo of the defenders. And it's mainly due to the fact that it's really hard to recognize if a ball carrier is changing their speed in real time. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, think about it this way. If you have the ball and are moving at 70% speed and a defender is tracking you, and all of a sudden you ramp up into 100%, you've given yourself a head start, and it's that little window that may be all the time and space you needed to slide through the defensive line. When would you use this one? Definitely when you got a lot of open space and it's a bit of a staggered defensive line. Now, the best for last, the Fijian shrug. Some people also call this the rip. Every good Fijian winger absolutely eats defenders alive with this. Looks so simple. Might feel really unnatural if you've never tried this before, but damn does it work. Why does the ball carrier using their non-ball carrying arm as almost a dead arm into contact work so well? It shows perfectly though how it's not really about hurting the tackler or putting a ton of force into the contact. By holding their arm down, a defender going into contact would be pretty confident, especially when they're getting close. What they don't expect though is to be unable to wrap the ball carrier. You see the rip or the peel action by the ball carrier stops the defender from wrapping. When you tackle, I guarantee the shoulder you hit with is also the primary arm that wraps. You really could just tackle with your lead shoulder, wrap with the same arm, and make most of your tackles. So when this arm is taken out of play, the tackle becomes just the shoulder. And if you're able to absorb this hit and keep running, that other arm has no chance of doing anything. Simple, effective, and to be honest, even if you don't see a defender coming, it's still a technique you could use to beat the tackle. Hope these tips help you with your footy journey. Thanks for watching.